The House Energy Committee releasing its portion of the reconciliation legislation late last night. The bill cuts from Medicaid and adds work requirements and more frequent eligibility checks. Committee Chair Brett Guthrie out with a new op-ed this morning warning Democrats are going to try to misrepresent the bill as an attack on Medicaid. Joining me now is South Carolina Congressman and member of the House Energy Committee, Russell Fry. Congressman, good morning to you. And I want to pick up on this Medicaid portion that he really writes about, your chairman, in the Journal this morning. And he really takes aim at Democrat-run states like California that are using Medicaid and giving out health insurance to illegal aliens. And this endangers Americans who need Medicaid.
No, the chairman is exactly right. I mean, it's estimated to be 1.7 to 2 million illegal immigrants on Medicaid in these states. That is a tremendous cost to the federal taxpayer because we are subsidizing this in these states. And when you look at the original intent of Medicaid, it was supposed to help single mothers, people with disabilities, children. The original intent is completely twisted right now under the Democrat logic because these tax dollars should not go to fund illegal immigrants' medical care. We flatly reject that from the Democrats. Of course, they're not talking about that. They're creating a lot of smoke and mirrors around Medicaid. But the whole intent is to strengthen Medicaid to make sure that we preserve it as a program into the future. But right now it is on an unsustainable path, and we have to rein it in.
Absolutely. And we have had some of your colleagues come on the show and say that one thing that they would like to see done would be to, change the split between the federal government and states when it comes to the subsidizing of Medicaid. If it's 90-10 for New York right now, let's take that down to 70-30. Still have the federal government contribute to the program, but put more responsibility on the states. I think that's a good idea. I don't know where that sits right now. But more importantly, the millionaire's tax. Do you support that idea?
I don't. I think right now there's enough fluff out there in the federal budget that we can keep taxes low on all Americans. And I think that's really the driver on pushing this one big, beautiful bill is that if we don't act, the taxes on everybody go up. And that includes millionaires, but also includes a lot of working families. 210 million Americans would see those taxes increase. And so I want to keep taxes low for the American people. And I think looking at the way that we spend money, there's a tremendous amount of ways that we can save the taxpayers' money and rein in some fiscal discipline into our country's capital.
Yeah, I've got Liz Peek on set. She's got a question for you, Congressman.
Good morning, Congressman. I am confused. For 3 months, we talked a lot and with a lot of excitement about DOGE and how it was making cuts to the federal budget, winnowing out waste and fraud, et cetera. Why do we never, when we talk to people like you who are involved in the tax bill, why is no one talking about cuts in federal spending that's coming out of that DOGE effort?
Well, the rescission stuff, obviously, we were working hand in glove with the White House, with the Senate. But there are rescissions that we can have. Those savings that DOGE has identified are real. And so we've already worked and continue to work on harmonizing the Congress with the president's executive orders. DOGE is a big part of that. As far as I'm concerned, some of the things that they have found are tremendous and save a ton of money and that are quite simple to implement. And so Congress absolutely should support the efforts of DOGE and continue to find ways that we can cut on our end to support those efforts.
Okay, well, let's pick up on that question from Liz, because the Wall Street Journal had a lengthy report yesterday about Russ Vought and that he's the one that's going to be picking up the baton from Elon Musk to implement those DOGE cuts. His first target, the military. Would you support meaningful cuts to the military if Russ Vought decides that's where it needs to have, whether it's waste, fraud, abuse? I mean, take your pick.
Well, I think at any level of federal spending, there is an element of waste that goes along with that. And I don't think the military is immune to that. I think people within the military often say that too. And so what we have to do when DOGE identifies these savings and the things that we spend money on that streamline government, that make it more efficient, and that make, in the case of the military, make them more efficient, more lethal, then we have to look at that. And I think obviously Pete Hegseth is working with DOGE. I would imagine that every federal agency is doing that. And the importance of DOGE is to find those savings for the taxpayers and to harmonize those throughout the federal government. We're $36 trillion in debt. We're on an unsustainable path. And DOGE is a big component of that, making sure that we rein in our federal spending.
Okay, well, we'll see what the recommendation is from Mr. Vogt. House Ways and Means Committee expected to meet tomorrow. They're going to debate the tax cuts portion of the big bill. They released part of it Friday, but there was nothing on SALT included. And then there's 4 New York Republicans that are coming out against Speaker Johnson's proposed $30,000 cap to the SALT deduction. They said it's insulting and warning it risks derailing the bill. They've been very vocal, these 4. New Yorkers already send far more to Washington than we get back, they say. A higher SALT cap isn't a luxury. It's a matter of fairness. New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney joined Maria on Sunday Morning Futures to discuss it yesterday. Watch this.
I'm a New Yorker. I'm not in the SALT caucus. 3 to 5% of my constituents probably, itemize, which would be the way to look at this. But it's a very reasonable cap that's what we're looking at. It's a little more complex than what was revealed by some of those who are objecting to it. But Maria, 98% roughly in all these so-called SALT districts are getting a benefit for their taxpayers. 98% of their taxpayers are getting a benefit. That's what really, this is supposed to be protecting the middle class. SALT is about state and local tax deductions for the wealthy.
Congressman, do you agree with her? Because she's going against Elise Stefanik. She's going against Mike Lawler.
No, I do. And I think obviously, I do sympathize with some of the New York Republicans and Californians that they want the SALT. And I think we're going to get there. But the reality is that this targets very specific states. This doesn't target individuals in my state. And so while we always have this give and take within the Congress and in this one big, beautiful bill, I think Claudia is exactly right that, that this affects a very small portion of the country, and that this bill and the original tax cuts was about the middle class, was about helping and harmonizing the middle class. We can continue down this road, but if we don't act, 210 million Americans will see their taxes raised, including in South Carolina and in New York.
Well, but again, I just want to reiterate that these are, they've been on this program, Stefanik has and Congressman Lawler, and they've flat out said that this is not negotiable, that SALT needs to be reinstated. They're going to hold up the bill if they don't get this, Congressman.
Well, I think the importance right now, and this is an important discussion that the Republicans are having within Congress, and I think everyone is operating in good faith, and that's why I'm optimistic that in the end, this will be done. There's a lot of things that are still on the table to be discussed on reducing federal spending, the SALT thing, obviously, that you just mentioned. And so I'm optimistic that at the end of the day that we will continue to come together. But obviously, right now in front of the American people, you see the differences, even within the New York delegation on SALT itself, on that just one proposal. And so driving this is just is tough. But I am optimistic that at the end, we're going to get this done.
All right. Well, we are watching. And this Memorial Day deadline, that's going to be something else to see if that can happen. There's a lot of things that have to be accomplished between now and then. Congressman Russell Fry, thank you for being here. It's great to see you as always.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Well, we've got a lot